there are two factors. I mean, broadly, there was no one took ownership for the Congress campaign in Gujarat this time. Compare this with last time in 2017. Mr. Rahul Gandhi, who was on way to become the Congress president then, had invested heavily. He led a very spirited and energetic campaign, and
Right.
he had two veterans to lean on them, Mr. Ahmed Patel and Ashok Gehlot, who was then the ICC General Secretary in charge of Gujarat. This time, Rahul was busy in his Bharat Jodo Yatra. Ahmed Patel is no more. Gehlot was battling his own problems in his home state,
Hmm.
although he was still the senior observer. His efforts in Gujarat was, at best half-hearted. So this perception, which gained ground even from the initial stages, that the Congress campaign is not visible, it's lackluster, it's listless. There was no concerted effort to dispel that perception. So when we look at the vote share now, the BJP has managed to not just retain better its vote share. So the division in votes happened in the
Hmm.
opposition space. That's where the
Hmm.
Aam Aadmi Party has taken away the Congress's votes. So this
Hmm.
perception that the Congress is not really serious this time,
Hmm.
which gave a major advantage to the Aam Aadmi Party in conveying that, see,
Hmm.
only it's a new entrant, but it has a credible
Hmm.
challenge to mount to the BJP.
Right.
So and even at the local level, Mr. Jagdish Thakur, who is the PCC president, compared to last time, of course, factionalism is there in every state, every Congress unit. But since Mr. Rahul was heavily investing in the campaign last time, Mr.
Hmm.
Patel and Ashok Gehlot were there. So the
Hmm.
different factions, be it leaders like Arjun Modwadia, Shakti Singh Gohil, Siddharth Patel, they could ensure some sort of coordination between all of them. This time,
Hmm.
all that was missing, and there was no larger narrative which the Congress could offer. And one,
Right.
of course, is the lack of resources, the fund crunch which the Congress always talks about. The
Hmm.
idea behind putting a chief minister in charge of a state,
Hmm.
compared it with Himachal
Hmm.
Pradesh, where the Chhattisgarh chief minister Bhupesh Baghel was involved. Here, Mr. Ashok Gehlot was involved. So the
Hmm.
idea was that they would manage the resources. But
Hmm.
but uh, several Congress leaders have told me that Raghu Sharma, who's the ICC General Secretary in charge, have been telling them when they run into each other that please tell the AICC, the treasurer, to release more funds and all. So fund really was another crunch.
Hmm.
That was another issue. So largely this narrative which gained ground that the Congress is not serious this time in
Hmm.
Gujarat. It stuck. It stayed, and the party could never come out of it. Compare this with Himachal. Uh,
Right.
Priyanka Gandhi Vadra directly took charge. She traveled to the state several times, addressed several rallies. In
Right.
Gujarat, Rahul Gandhi came for one day and addressed two rallies.
Right.
Baghel was camping in Shimla, coordinating all that. So th- there was far more seriousness on the part of the Congress in Himachal.
Right. Probably they were also sure that maybe Himachal will is their passion and they will win it.
And
Liz,
therefore, in elections, you have to create that perception, that you're serious,
yeah.
you're putting your best foot forward.
Right,
That
and they fail to create that perception in Gujarat,
in
perhaps.
Gujarat, yes. But they
Yes,
managed to do that in Himachal. They could identify issues very early, be it the
yes,
restoration of the old pension scheme, lack of employment, the resentment against the Agniveer scheme, the
right.
problem with apple growers,
Hmm, hmm,
price
hmm,
rise.
hmm.
They had addressed all those issues. Uh,
Right,
they managed to keep factionalism under check also. It's
right.
not that Himachal has no factionalism. There are
Correct.
some of the chief ministerial candidates now who will surface now. There were differences, but they managed because there was
Hmm.
there was somebody owning up the campaign from Delhi. So
Right.
it could all be managed in a much better fashion.
Exactly. I also have Amil Bhatnagar joining me from Himachal Pradesh and from Gujarat. Let's shift our focus to Himachal now. Liz, very quickly, this is going to be a very close contest with the BJP holding a slight edge over the Congress in Himachal Pradesh. Your comments on this?
No, the BJP made a lot of mistakes in Himachal Pradesh. Primarily, its own leadership, Jairam Thakur. If you look back, from like I think for the last 2 years, there has been complaint, and the BJP had faced by-election defeats in Himachal. So that time onwards, there were demands to make some changes in Himachal. But unlike in Gujarat, where the BJP went for major changes when they realized that there is a resentment or there is an anti-government feeling, in Gujarat they didn't go for any major changes and they just retained Jairam Thakur. Jairam Thakur's one major the advantage was that he's a soft face who's not an aggressive face, who neither side can make major complaints against that person. So the now when I was talking to some people in Shimla, what they're saying with the national leadership, especially we know that JP Nadda, the party's national president, belongs to Himachal Pradesh. He and others in the national leadership had a direct control over the state leadership, and they did not let the state leadership go for many steps to kind of overall the party state unit. One is that. And so even in the candidate selection there were complaints that the national leadership did not pay much heed to what the state leaders were saying. And as Manoj said, when the BJP tried to make it as a Modi versus others election in Himachal, the Congress tried to focus on the local election. So the BJP's failure, because BJP could not focus on the local, because the local leadership was a failure. There was a resentment, there was a feeling across the regions in Himachal Pradesh to therefore we need a change. And also we know that the Himachal Pradesh is a state where bipolar politics, and also they always try to like alternate parties. They try to pick for the for rule in the state. So BJP tried to break that, and in as we seen in the recent past, in many states it has broken, but BJP thought that it would be. So even Modi's speeches were like, vote for me, like don't look at the local candidate, vote for me. Vote for Kamal is for me, mere khate mein jayega. So that kind of thing, people have affection, and Modi is popular, but people there differentiated between, it looks like differentiated between the state election and the Lok Sabha election. Maybe they might stand for Modi in Lok Sabha, but they looked at the lack of leadership and the failure of the local leadership in the state. And I think that actually led to BJP's struggling in Himachal. Otherwise, the Congress, although they were not like Manoj said, it wasn't very visible. The people were not very happy with the Congress, but they wanted a change only because to kind of because of their unhappiness and the kind of disillusionment over the state leaders of the BJP.
Thank you so much, Liz, for bringing those inputs. And Amil, I would want you to comment on this. Like Liz pointed out, at the factor, local leadership failure. What are your thoughts? You have been covering the elections in Himachal. Can you quickly take us through your thoughts on this?
Well, absolutely. I think the BJP's election was mostly and entirely, in fact, on the basis of a central government. Their campaign was double engine ki sarkar, which meant that you should vote for a party that is going to provide you stable leadership at the center. And even in the run up to the elections, you could see hoardings that had come up, which only had the picture of Narendra Modi. Even the CM Jairam Thakur was absent, even though they said that we are fighting the BJP's election is in the name of Jairam Thakur, but primarily it was the Modi factor that was being pushed across the state. Whereas on the other hand, the Congress leadership was again more regional, because also in the absence of Veerbhadra Singh, this is the first assembly elections for the party, and Veerbhadra Singh was a tall figure, 6-time CM, and for after in his absence, there were many leaderships that had sprung up in Congress. So at the moment, there are several. That's why there are several chief minister faces in Congress as well. So their campaign was largely about regional issues. They talked about OPS. Congress talked about OPS heavily because they knew that the government employees here have a huge factor in voting, and they, in terms of number and in terms of impact they have on the elections. So they focused on that. They announced OPS well in advance. They announced they made their guarantees to women and children, and they in fact they even announced several freebies to school-going children, college-going women. So the Congress campaign was focused on people's issues in the state, and BJP had a larger central issue, and that's why you would see several visits being made by senior leaders, including the PM, Home Minister Amit Shah. Nadda made several visits, in fact, surprise visits to go and speak to the rebellion leaders to convince them to not fight. In fact, Yogi Adityanath held 16 rallies over a period of 5 days. So that meant that they pulled no stops in pulling all their star campaigners and everything. But at the end of the day, Himachal as an electorate has again for the longest time has never repeated a government, and there's always an anti-incumbency factor. And somehow this entire idea of selling the central government narrative fell short for the BJP.
Absolutely, Amil. Thank you so much for joining us. Manoj, quickly coming to you, who will be the CM candidate for Himachal?
That's a tricky question for the Congress to address. But there'll be several factors which will come into play. Now, basically, the choice is narrowed down to three players. Pratibha Singh, who is the president of the Himachal Pradesh Congress, Sukhwinder Singh Sukhu, who is a former PCC president, and Mukesh Agnihotri, the leader of the opposition now. The factors that I mentioned is that the first, whether the party will have to decide whether to carry forward the legacy of Veerbhadra Singh. In that case, Pratibha Singh, his wife, will throw her hat into the ring. So that is the first question that they will have to address, whether to carry forward this legacy or make a break and give a fresh face. The second would be a large regional equation. Kangra, we have always heard that the road to Shimla goes through Kangra and all. So the Kangra Valley had this time given handsome results to the Congress. So they will have to factor in the regional equations from where the chief minister should come from, which region. Pratibha Singh is an MP from Mandi, but the party has lost heavily in Mandi. And in Kangra, both Agnihotri and Susuku is largely from the Kangra region. So that is another factor which will come into play. Then the caste equation. It's always a tussle between the Brahman and Thakur lobby in Himachal Pradesh. But the state has so far produced only one Brahman chief minister. It was Shantakumar of the BJP. Otherwise, the chief ministers have all come from the Thakur caste. So Agnihotri being a Brahman, Pratibha Singh and Sukhu being Thakur. So that is another equation that the party will have to figure out. At the end of the day, all these three will, of course, throw their hat into the ring. The central observers will go. Then we'll have to factor in the loyalty of the MLAs also. Everybody would have a couple of MLAs or maybe 5-6 MLAs of their own winning the election. So now there will be lobbying, which happens every time in the Congress party. So we'll have that game will play out once the results become very clear.
Okay, thank you so much for simplifying the factors that will lead to choosing the Chief Minister for Himachal. Parimal and Sourav Roy Burman are also joining us. Parimal, you are at the BJP state headquarters right now, sitting in the library, right?
Yeah.
Huge celebrations going on. What is the sentiment that you are picking up from there?
So all the workers who have worked in this entire campaign for the party, they are saying that they are not surprised at all by this result. I mean, they are saying that people raising questions that this record of breaking 149 seats looked like impossible. But they were they are saying that they were quite sure that because of the massive popularity of Mr. Modi, working in tandem with Amit Shah, doing all micro and macro planning for the elections, they were quite sure that this was the result that they were looking for and that they have got it.
So I can hardly hear you also because there's so much of
Yeah. So the
a lot of chanting.
Party president has just arrived. So the lot of firecrackers are there. Yeah.
Yes. Leena, can you talk about the big wins in Gujarat, some of the constituencies or some of the leaders in Gujarat? Can you bring our focus on that?
No, I think the chief minister is, of course, winning, Bhupendra Patel, which means, they will, he might become the chief minister again. And certain seats we saw the Congress stalwarts, losing. So which means the BJP candidates there will take charge. I haven't really tracking all the big candidates, but it looks like the BJP's dissidents and all has it's not worked. The candidates who stood
Right.
against the BJP's against the official candidate as independents or something, they are not really they haven't been able to gain much. So yeah, so it is, even the BJP has tried, by bringing in many other veterans like Mulu Bera and Ramanlal Bora, its earlier minister to this Eider seat and all. They are all winning. So these were, experiments that the party did on this whole strategy of winnability, where they brought in veterans, they brought in old hands, and they brought in new faces also in certain seats, where at least 14 of the earlier ministers were. All these experiments seem to have paid. They seem to have paid off.
Correct.
And yeah, so yeah, among the big wins, I think Bhupendra Patel is the biggest win here. Yeah, and I have
Okay.
tracked the others, but yeah.
Right. Haresh,
Sorry to interrupt.
yes.
It seems the Congress is not doing well in the tribal belt, in the tribal states in Gujarat. Leena would be able to tell us more.
Yeah, so
Which means
just
that
two
the whole Vanavasi versus Adivasi debate, which Rahul Gandhi was trying to, create,
Yeah.
it has not worked in the favor of the Congress.
No, it hasn't. So out of the 27, only 2 seats Congress is leading as of now. And on around 8 seats, the Aam Aadmi Party is actually at number 2, and Aam Aadmi Party is leading on 3 seats in these 27 seats. The rest of them are probably being taken by BJP. So, and even in Saurashtra, where the Congress had major gains last time, out of the 48 seats, they had won, I think, nearly 28 of them. So now they're down to just 4 or 5. So Saurashtra was one big, region which had powered the Congress's 77 in 2017, which is now down. So there are a lot of regional losses also, and constituencies which were loyal to the Congress where the party is losing out this time.
Yeah, Harish, would like to bring you in. मोरबी से बीजेपी की जीत हो रही है, हो चुकी है शायद, इतने बड़े ब्रिज कोलैप्स के बाद भी आपका क्या कहना है इसके बारे में?
मोरबी की बात तो ठीक है, लेकिन बाकी की जो कांग्रेस की सीट थी कि जो कांग्रेस का गढ़ वो माना जाता था, जैसे कि गिर सोमनाथ है, जामनगर था, वहां पर भी बहुत सारी सीटें बीजेपी ने कवर की है। और मोरबी ब्रिज वाली बात करें हम, तो वहां पर ये था कि ये जो पूरा इलेक्शन का कैंपेन था, तो इसमें बीजेपी को तो हम छोड़ दे, लेकिन बाकी के जो कॉम्पिटिटर थे, 2 आम आदमी पार्टी और कांग्रेस, दोनों में से किसी ने भी ये चीज को लेके मुद्दा किया था। किसी पूरे कैंपेन के अंदर कहीं पे भी मोरबी ब्रिज दिखा नहीं था। तो ये कॉम्पिटिटरों की एक बड़ा फेल है कि जो उनको दिखाना चाहिए था वो नहीं कर पाए। इसकी भी वजह ये थी कि वहां की जो लोग थे, जनता थी, तो उन्होंने पहले से ये एक्सेप्ट कर लिया था कि ये एक हादसा है। इसमें ना तो सरकार का कोई रोल है कि ये कोई ने जानबूझकर किया, ऐसी कोई बात ही नहीं थी। तो एक सेंटेंस में अगर मैं कहना चाहूँ तो उसमें ये कह सकते हैं कि गुजरात की जनता लाइट बिल पे करने के लिए तैयार है। जो मुफ्त की बात है कि यहाँ पर जो थी वो नहीं चली है। और कई सारे दिनों से मैं ये देख रहा था, तो सोशल ट्रेंड भी ये हो रहा था कि गुजराती लोग अपना इलेक्ट्रिसिटी बिल पे करने के खुशी है उनको।
ओके।
यस।
ओके। सौरभ रॉय बर्मन, आप हो हमारे साथ अभी? Saurav, can you hear us?
Yeah, I can hear.
Okay, Saurav, what are your thoughts on AAP really making a stint, in this assembly elections?
So I think firstly we'll have to look at the fact that AAP is India's newest national party, I mean, the ninth national party will have, because they have managed to secure some 12% votes so far. They just needed some 6% votes and 2 seats. And in all likelihood, they will end up with some 6 seats. So that is one. And, so last time they had contested in 2017, they had fielded candidates in 29 seats and they ended up getting 29,000 odd votes. So this time it has already crossed 25 lakh votes. So, I mean, compare the two, it's a huge jump for them. But obviously, I don't think the party leadership will be very enthused with the results. For all their bravado that they will win, form the next government in Gujarat. That was mostly for to boost the cadre, the moral of the cadre of the party in Gujarat. But even in private, they were hoping, they were saying that they are hoping to get some 10 to 15 seats and maybe around 15 to 20% vote share.
You were in
So,
Rajkot, right, Sourav? Can you
Yeah.
tell us what are the results coming from there?
Yeah, initially they were the party candidates were placed second in certain seats in Rajkot rural and Rajkot south. But then gradually we have seen in many seats they are now placed third.
Okay. Thank you
In fact,
for
if you
joining.
look at the candidates winning, if you look at the profile of the candidates winning from the
Right.
they are not really the high profile candidates everyone was rooting for. These are mostly candidates with their individual political histories. For example, in I think in this seat called Dadiapada, this candidate Chetar Bhai Wasawa, he is winning for the AAP. But then if you look at his history, he was a very close confidant of Chotu Bhai Wasawa of the Bharatiya tribe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. There's also a journalist who is sort of in the race and from Aam Aadmi Party, and he's sort of winning. Can you tell us a little bit about him?
I am not sure. I mean,
Can you say
the
that?
CM candidate was Sudan Gadvi. He was initially leading, but I don't think he's leading anymore.
Okay. Manoj, Manoj, can you tell us what's the, coming, looking at the performance of Congress, can you share some, what's the difference between the performance in Gujarat and the performance in Himachal very quickly?
No, the Congress now has invested, heavily. They're spending all their energies, focusing all their attention on making the Bharat Jodo Yatra a success. So I have traveled in Himachal. There was no mention. It is not really occupying the mind space of the people, at least in Himachal. And the results in Gujarat show that the case is the same in Gujarat also. So, but as I said earlier, when you go into election, when you have a very disciplined campaign, when you have a narrative, when the optics is right, you can create some sort of perception. Gujarat, of course, is a very difficult battle for either the Congress or the Aam Aadmi Party. But the Congress campaign this time was really bad. They were not visible. The Congress was never really hoping to challenge the BJP. But what it has essentially done is that it has given a foothold for the Aam Aadmi Party. It has given a significant vote share for a newer party, and given seeded that opposition space with them. So
Right.
BJP is looking pretty. There are instead of a bipolar kind of a political situation, now there are three parties. Now there's a fight for the opposition space. So that the Congress vacated, I don't know, willingly. It's really perplexing many of the leaders also here. Why did it happen? At least that the opposition space, the Congress should have ensured that it is not divided. In Himachal, as Amil pointed out, uh, Himachal alternate between both these parties. They vote out the incumbent. That's a tradition. So it was there for the Congress for the taking. But of course, they channelized all their energies. Their campaign was largely disciplined. They identified local issues, kept it a local, not a fight between Rahul or Modi or the Congress versus Modi. They harped on local issues. which has proved to be successful in the end.
However, Manoj, what I'm getting right now is from my team is that the Congress may be ahead in seat share, but the vote share in Himachal Pradesh, the party is neck and neck with the BJP.
No, that again is surprising.
Yeah.
Despite so much of anti-incumbency, the BJP has managed to retain that kind of vote share. Because when I travel to Kangra, Una, Dharamshala, Hamirpur, Bilaspur, Mandi, the one thing which came out so clearly is that Mr. Modi is still very popular. There is no anger against him. It is mostly the dissatisfaction is against the state government. So people would say, "नहीं Modi साहब ठीक है." I mean, he must have not done anything for the Himachal, but वो ठीक है. Even on Article 370 and all, I could hear Congress workers saying we support Modi on that. It's really a right of the center space. Himachal has become a right of the center space. So in that, I don't expect the Congress to win big in the Lok Sabha elections. Four seats in 2024. So the Modi popularity is still intact. There is anger against the local BJP leadership, the local government, the state government. So torn between that, the BJP has managed to retain vote share, but with less number of seats.
Right. Closing comments from you, Leena. Was it Hindutva? Was it Modi? Is it Hindutva?
It was
or Modi that's winning in Gujarat?
It was Moditva all the way. So before before the elections, we were hearing of a lot of dips law, the cow cattle control law, and that Gau Seva Posh come through. The money had not been given out, so the cattle herding community was angry and all. But now from the trends, all the seats that had actually Rabari, Zahirs and all, the BJP is winning. And also interesting trend is that there were also speculations on whether Hardik Patel and Alpesh Thakur, who switched to the BJP, will win. But both and in fact Jignesh Mevani is having a close battle with the BJP candidate in his constituency, which is interesting. That is so in Jignesh's constituency of Padgam, which is a reserve Dalit constituency, the BJP has fielded a former Congress MLA, who actually had vacated the seat for his independent candidate. So this guy, Manibhai Waghela, is now leading in Vadgam. It's a very close contest. He's leading by some 38,000 votes. I mean, he's leading with 38,000 votes. Jignesh has some 30.
I lost Leena over there. Yes.
AIMIM would take away some of the votes on the seats. That has not happened. In fact, AIMIM has not emerged as a disruptor. Yeah. Emerged as a major disruptor on any of the seats so far in Gujarat. Yeah.
Okay.
But the Congress also seems to have lost. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you, Leena. Closing comments from Haresh. Haresh, मोदित्व क्या यही है सबसे बड़ा मुद्दा जिसके ऊपर आज वोटर ने वोट किया है, वोटर्स ने इसी के ऊपर किया है, या लोकल इश्यूज भी मैटर करते थे इस इलेक्शन में?
नहीं, लोकल इश्यू कुछ नहीं है, इसमें मोदीत्व ही मेन है। हमने है ना इलेक्शन के कैंपेन में लोकल वोटर से भी बातचीत की थी, तो पेट्रोल के दाम को लेके हमने जब पूछा तो लोगों ने हमें ये कमेंट दी थी कि पेट्रोल 100 रुपए नहीं 1000 रुपया जाता है तो भी है ना हमारा वोट मोदी को ही है, हमें कोई और नहीं चाहिए, मोदी ही चाहिए। तो ये बिग फैक्टर है यहाँ पर।
जी। Thank you so much, all of you, for joining us. Leena, Haresh, Manoj, Liz, Sourav Roy Burman, Amil, and everybody who joined us on this live stream. And for all the details on the elections, assembly elections results from Gujarat and Himachal Pradesh, you will find everything, all the details on our website, indianexpress.com. And don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.